gon' tune in cause it's showtime. Go ahead and call the gang up for the one time. Rap food rhyme, got them on the line. And my life's still great, I'm doing just fine. Hands up.
But all right. So we're moving past that. We got one more small topic to discuss before we get inside of Netflix Geek Week 2023. The nominees for the Game of the Year was announced earlier this week. So let me pull that up. So, Game of the Year for the description of the category is recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. So we got Alan Wake, Baldur's Gate, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. How do you feel about this lineup, Ron?
Half the games on it I'm not a fan of, nor did I play. But it makes sense for Zelda to be up there. When I made a comment about a lot of people did say that Alan Wake was pretty good. Baldur's Gate 3 has been on my radar for a minute.
I've been seeing that's been pretty good.
Yeah, and it is up my alley in terms of RPGs, and it's like it's a Dungeons and Dragons based game. So I just need to play it. I'm just behind. I'm still playing Assassin's Creed Mirage. Spider-Man 2, I enjoyed it, but I don't think it's Game of the Year material compared to other Game of the Year games. Just me personally. I did enjoy it. I did think it was good, but at the same time, I'm not mad at it. And what was else up there? Throw up the screen.
I throw it back up there.
Super Mario Bros. Wonder didn't catch my eye. I never thought a Super Mario game would be Game of the Year. And Resident Evil 4, I never hear much about Resident Evil, honestly. I didn't even hear much about this one.
Just to go down the list, I've been hearing a lot of positive things about Alan Wake 2 as far as like the story. Baldur's Gate, I've been hearing good things about that. I've seen a lot of people like boasting about the character customization in that game. Spider-Man 2, I thought it was if you've seen my review for Spider-Man 2 on our social media, I thought it was a damn good game. I thought the mechanics had an extreme upgrade from the first Spider-Man as well as the Miles Morales storyline. The way that they wove the character stories together, they did lose points for me from the Venom storyline. But I truly enjoyed the game, being able to play as both Spider-Man and the mechanics and everything that came with it. So I was surprised that it made it into the Game of the Year category, given that it came out like a month ago. And I would say the same thing for Super Mario Bros. Wonder, but I've been seeing a lot of positive feedback on Super Mario Bros. Wonder as well. So I'm not surprised that they made it. I'm not surprised that they are contenders. I'm surprised that they made it in there, given the fact that both of these games came out less than a month ago.
It's also a lot of what would you call them, sequels? Because even if it's a third iteration, it still can be considered a sequel, I'm assuming. It's a lot of sequels. Like, we had a couple of new IPs this year. Like, I'm interested into why Starfield didn't make it. Because at first, I don't know if you were seeing it, the hype for Starfield was hype even when it first released its first 2 weeks. Then, like, after a month and a half, you started seeing a lot of complaints. So I don't know if it was those issues due to technical stuff that a lot of people started not complaining about the game and it didn't make it. And maybe it's just my Harry Potter bias. I wish Hogwarts Legacy made it, personally.
I meant to look this up before we got into the live stream of like, what's the criteria for putting something as Game of the Year? And one thing I did notice about these 6 games that got nominated is that they all released on the platform that they were directed at. And we talked about this a long time ago with Sage. I wonder if Hogwarts Legacy didn't make it just because of the fact that it did not release in time on all of the platforms it was targeted for. Like the Switch port for Hogwarts Legacy just came out 2 days ago. And then the second thing is what we talked about, the controversial topic, is I wonder if they stood away from it just because of the controversy surrounding Hogwarts Legacy and J.K. Rowling.
I would hate it if they did, just because even the fans of the game let go of that controversy. I know all the reviewers like IGN and GameSpot kept throwing it up in there, but I'm like, that game was so good. And it was a new IP, like consistent. It was polished. Like, taking away the fact that I was a Hogwarts fan, the combat felt fluid and it was new. You know what I mean? Like we ain't had a game, a Harry Potter game like that.
I would agree. I wonder. I guess if it's the controversy, we won't know for sure. But I do. If it's the other piece, which we would have to look up the criteria for, I wonder if it's just that Hogwarts Legacy did not drop on all of its targeted platforms before it was time to get nominees for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then that makes sense.
And did Horizon, did the new one come out this year? No, that came out 2022. Never mind.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
I was gonna say the Forbidden West one, the sequel. I was like, did that come in 2023? But that was 2022. I don't know. The list isn't bad. It didn't excite me personally. Like I do want to play Baldur's Gate 3, but because I ain't played it, I wouldn't know. Like,
But I guess
shout out to-
just, spin this a bit. Though you don't really care for the games on the list, who would you rather see win Game of the Year?
I would be really appreciative if Baldur's Gate 3 won, only because of the stuff I've seen online. But I expect Zelda to win because it's Zelda. Zelda's name, like Spider-Man's name is strong, don't get me wrong, but Zelda's name in gaming,
I could
that
see,
holds weight.
just because they're letting people vote, like if I share my screen again, there's a sign in to vote for this category. If we want to go off recency bias, I could see it being between Alan Wake and Spider-Man 2, because I'm still seeing a lot of traffic surrounding those games. I'm not seeing as much traffic as I did with Super Mario Bros. Wonder when it first dropped. If we want to go off recency bias, but if we want to go off like top overall, I could see Zelda winning. I've been watching Antoine play Zelda in the art style. I like the art style. I like the elements to the game. And the story just seems like really, I guess the world seems immersive. Like sometimes I sit down and watch Antoine play for like 30 minutes. And he's not even doing something that's part of the main story. But it's like an immersive side mission to get into. So I could, if it wasn't for recency bias, I can see Zelda taking it.
It also depends on whose fans are the most obsessive to, because they're probably finna submit multiple votes, different emails, different phone numbers, all types of stuff.
If we wanna go off that, then it might be Spider-Man 2.
I think if I had to think about it, I doubt some 25-year-old, 21 and up year old is going to care that much to be like, let me submit 5 votes for Spider-Man 2. Because I think, though, I'm not going to say that's most of the people playing it, but Zelda has a really wide audience.
That's true too. That's true too.
And I could see like a 12-year-old just being like, oh my gosh, I love Zelda.
Well, I could say the same thing about Spider-Man. I could say Spider-Man, if we want to go into it, Spider-Man is a household name when it comes to superheroes.
So which fans, let's do this then. Both of them are exclusives, Sony versus Nintendo. Which console fans you think are more obsessive and willing to play a part in this game of voting?
I would think I could see both of them. But it's going back to my point about recency bias. This game came out less than a month ago. It's still hot. I could see a lot of people putting in votes for Spider-Man just because it's fresh. Unless you have some Nintendo Switch holders who are still playing Zelda, I don't just see people running to the polls for Zelda.
When did it release? It released in like early spring.
Yeah, that came out a while ago.
I don't know.
I'm also surprised Jedi Survivor didn't make it, unless it wasn't that good.
I didn't hear much bad about Jedi Survivor, but I didn't hear much good either. I just didn't hear much.
I agree.
I think I saw like a week's worth of like support YouTube videos, and then after that it was done. Like That's why I'm surprised Starfield didn't make it, because even though some folks started complaining towards the end, people were talking about Starfield for a full month. It felt like taking away my algorithm, like it just seemed like even word of mouth. Hey, should I play Starfield? I've been hearing a lot about it. Folks are DMing me about it.
It's interesting. I would be interested to see who takes it. Now, I could see Spider-Man 2 being like the celebrity choice and it not winning just because, it's been shoved in there as the celebrity vote. So if I was to take Spider-Man 2 out, I think I would put it between Alan Wake and Zelda to take Game of the Year.
My third choice would be Baldur's Gate. Not even because people recommended it to me recently, but I knew nothing about this game. Like, I knew nothing about Baldur's Gate 1 or 2. I just found out it was a D&D game once I started looking into it and watched all the videos about it. It did look interesting to me. But I have seen it randomly popping up on my timelines. Like, randomly on Instagram, randomly on YouTube from some of my favorite YouTubers. And, like, the name I knew about for a minute. So I slick could see it taking the throne, and it's also a full-fledged RPG, usually a game of the year. It's the games that lean more RPG than just action adventure. And Spider-Man leans more action adventure. That's why I don't think it's going to win, but recency bias could play a big part.
I guess we'll see. I'm interested. I know some of these games have gotten multiple nominations as well, so if they don't win Game of the Year, I hope they at least get something, because I think this whole slate is a slate of really good games.
You got that image where they mentioned who got the most nominations? I think I can find it really quick.
Nah, I don't have it.
I think it was I think Zelda was definitely on the list of most nominations. Someone had 8, I think.
I saw that too, and I want to say it might have been Alan Wake.
Was it Alan Wake? Dang, Game Awards, fix y'all Twitter so this stuff can be... Y'all keep on showing the same thing over and over again. I'm going to look for it. But, if you remember that year that Elden Ring competed for Game of the Year, I think that was 2022. Them and God of War were neck and neck with 8 or 7 recommendations. And then it was that was just an Elden Ring and God of War year. They took everything.
Let me see. So Alan Wake has 8 nominations. Baldur's Gate has 8 nominations. Marvel Spider-Man 2 has 7. Zelda has 5 nominations. And Super Mario Bros. Wonder has 5 nominations.
Now I see why you said Alan Wake. If nominations is anything to go off of, yeah, it's a Alan Wake Baldur's Gate struggle with Spider-Man 2 right behind it.
So if we want to go off the number who has the most nominations, is Alan Wake, Baldur's Gate, and Spider-Man. But if we want to go off of your thing, that if we lean more RPG, then action adventure, then Baldur's Gate. But Alan Wake and Spider-Man are both action adventure games. Well, Alan Wake is more like survival horror.
I think so. And because Spider-Man,
but I've been hearing the story. But I've been hearing that the story for Alan Wake is really good.
It probably would be a survival horror. If it has, so with action adventure, if it's thrown into a sandbox, but it's still telling a consistent story, it's not really minigame focused. It could be an action adventure horror.
Okay. So if that's the case, then at this point it could go either way.
Yeah, it's a good year. Don't get me wrong. It's a year where games didn't appeal to me that much. You know what the games that appealed to me didn't show up per se. But it was a good year. This was a good year for gaming. It was probably one of the best.
Yeah,
it was something for.
I can imagine that it might have been pretty hard to even decide who was going to be the 6 nominees for Game of the Year. And I wonder how many. I wonder when the nominations, when the starting nominations happen, and what studios were banking. Because, like I said, Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Bros. Wonder, depending on when nominations started, I wonder how much Insomniac and Nintendo were banking on these games to be top shit to get these nominations.
Well, then the funny thing is, I wonder how big of a deal these Game Awards are to people. Because yeah, it's cool to have the award and you can tell your manager give me a bonus. I was a part of the creation of this game. But Mario and Spider-Man are pretty like secure IPs. I wonder if they really care that much. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe that is why they care so much. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll find out. But let's go. Everything that comes after this point, at the end of the movie, at a point in time, it stops being like product of your environment. You can't be 84 years old watching 70 plus Hunger Games, implementing all this stuff, and your excuses is, oh,